Guys, welcome back to Hometown TCG. My name is Josh, and I am back to kick off a brand new series for you guys. We're talking the Road to Nationals meta. We're talking heroes on the Road to Nationals, and in this series, we're talking cards that we expect to overperform for those heroes. So first things first, guys, let's get right into this. We've got a race to 2K subs going on, so if you're here, if you're checking us out, click the sub button. We appreciate all you guys. Visit us over at our Patreon at patreon.com/hometowntcg, guys. We got everyone in Discord. The chat is always popping off. People are playing games almost every day of the week, prepping for these events. We appreciate all you guys. And then finally, good luck, Louie. We've seen some of the videos about the basement, man. Our thoughts go out to you and your family. Let us know if you need anything. And in the meantime, if it gets bad and we can help in any way, reach out to us. Let us know. We'd love to give you a hand. But guys, I got 4 cards on this list, but you guys know me. I couldn't stick to 4. I had to go 2 more. So I got a couple honorable mentions for you. And our honorable mentions of Chane cards that we would expect to overperform during the Road to Nationals season are Mutated Mass and Invert Existence. Guys, these cards fulfill a couple things that Chane really wants in any given game, but we find they're just not consistent enough to really get the bang for your buck when you play these cards. So first of all, these cards are pretty versatile. You know, late game Mutated Mass can be a huge attack. It's always blue pitch, right? It's most likely not going to defend for much during your defense step, but we like the card in late game in the right scenario. Invert Existence is another way to turn on a source of arcane damage, right? It's a target to get things out of graveyards for your opponent. It's something that can enable Eclipse. It is blue pitch, but these cards' weaknesses definitely outshine their strengths, and that is, first of all, defense. These cards do not defend very well. They're not played very well defensively, which means they can be drawn at inopportune moments. You know, on the same turn, your opponent does some kind of big crush effect or big herald effect with a pummel, or Dorinthea's trying to come over the top, or you got a max velocity. Any number of things coming through while you have these in your hand could be an absolute detriment to your game. So because of those downsides, and they're mediocre to, I guess, slightly better than mediocre upside, these cards are left off of our list of cards that we expect to outperform during the Road to National Series. But now we do have 4 cards that we think are going to go above and beyond, and a lot of people aren't going to be ready for. And the first card is a card I have been extremely critical of, but my eyes were open to this card during the Devastation series, and that is Guardian of the Shadow Realm. So first of all, guys, in Chane, there are very few viable defense reactions. Fate Foreseen and Sink Below, you know, pretty good generic defense reactions. However, when they come off the top of your deck, they feel like dead cards. They can come off, there's nothing you can do, you can't get them back, the option's not even there. If you know you're going to have to defend on future turns, you just gotta kind of stare at them and either wish you had them in your hand or you're glad they're out of your deck. Guardian of the Shadow Realm really fixes that, right? If you know you're going to have to defend, the option to get it back into your hand is there, and it combos well with Chane's, you know, common or popular equipment against a lot of decks that Chane is going to see in this meta. With Husk, Guardian of the Shadow Realm is a 2-card, 12-block hand. Pretty good against crush effects, pretty good against max velocities, very good against Dorinthea, turning off Dawnblade counters. Those numbers are pretty good, and without Husk, with just Skullcap and Grasp of the Arknight, you can combo 2 cards for 10 block. Very good against those decks, can kind of put you in an advantageous position defensively, still leave you with a couple resources to, you know, kind of push yourself onto the front foot. So in those matchups, and because those decks are going to be so popular, we like Guardian of the Shadow Realm as a card to overperform what we expect in this season. Now, like every card on this list, this card does have some detriments, and the first is cost. It does cost 2 resources, and Chane is a bit greedy, especially when he puts his foot on the gas. He's a bit greedy with his resources. Chane wants to have enough pitch to do several things on his turn. He doesn't want to have to leave things behind due to lack of pitch. So the 2 cost on this card can be painful if you don't have the right hand. And also drawing it late game. A lot of times with Chane, you're attacking, you're on the front foot in the late game, and you're so on the front foot, you don't expect the crack pack. You don't think your opponent's going to have a window to take some damage to be able to really push back at you. They're just relying on either the blood death or the deck out, and in that situation, drawing into this card is not exactly ideal. So because of those, this card slots into the number 4 slot on our list, but watch out for this, especially in the Bravo and Dorinthia matchups, or even the Prism matchups. I don't want to forget about Prism. I know the community is on fire about Prism. In the Prism matchup, this card can really shine. Moving on to the number 3 slot, we have a card that I don't see in many lists right now, and that is Dimensional Crossroads. Guys, this card in itself completely turns off an entire strategy. There are Bravo strategies out there that have committed to blocking out the entire game, trying to gain some life here and there, and beat Chane that way. What this card does is if your opponent goes to pivot to the strategy, this card turns that strategy completely off. Without your opponent forcing your Husk out, this card is very easy arcane damage to guarantee to turn on every turn. It requires an attack action and a non-attack action, something Chane is very good at comboing in almost every turn. So it's almost a guaranteed source coming through. This being a guaranteed source turns on a lot of the conditional arcane damage clauses within your deck. So Chane likes the option to do multiple sources of arcane. He likes guaranteed sources of arcane flying at your opponent, forcing them to use resources to stop those. And if you don't run Husk at all, this card can be an absolute gas pedal. It forces your opponent on the back foot. It throws so many different forms of damage at them throughout the turn. You will love this card in the right scenario, but there are some drawbacks to this card as well. And the first one is more of a mental drawback with the people playing it, and that it almost mentally forces a Husk hold possibly longer than it should. If you have broken Husk, drawing Dimensional Crossroads feels like just drawing a yellow pitch card, right? It's a dead draw as far as effect goes, because for 2 pitch, it's going to, I guess, be destroyed at the end of that turn with Husk in the banish zone. It does not feel good. So there's a detriment there. And because of that, it can be risky to play if you still have Husk, something like that, and you play Dimensional Crossroads, and you then have to break Husk on the next turn. You use 2 resources to play this card that might not have gotten you much value. It can feel very bad. So this card does have a couple drawbacks. However, it's a great sideboard tech against back foot strategies, against trying to block out and deck you out. This card can be absolutely crucial. I love this card's value in the RTN meta. I'm excited to see outperforms. That's why it gets the number 3 slot. But moving on to number 2 is a card that I have heavily criticized, but does so many things that Chane loves, and that is Blood Tribute. Guys, it's no secret. Opt is so good in Chane. Chane has several effects to play off the top of its deck, whether it's Banish Zone and the Soul Shackles itself, whether it's Dimensional Gateway, Tome of the Arknight, Shadow Puppetry, Sonata Arcanix. Oh my goodness, I completely forgot the name of that card. Sonata Arcanix. All of these cards deal with the top of Chane's deck, and Blood Tribute is a great way to cheat, to look at the top of that deck and make sure that these cards are getting value. Whether it's additional card draw, whether it's easily achieved sources of arcane, Blood Tribute is able to turn all of that on. It's a great accessibility card. So for that, Blood Tribute really shines. An area that I haven't seen it used much, but you could see an extreme amount of value, is at the end of an opponent's turn, using it as an instant to look at the top of your deck to see what you'll be banishing. Sometimes, you know, the Soul Shackles aren't treating you very well that day. You're not banishing a ton of gas off the top of the deck. Blood Tribute can almost guarantee that you're going to get some form of gas when you banish with Soul Shackles. So it's another way that the card is extremely versatile. However, it doesn't block for anything, and it doesn't really offer any pitch. So it's a very offensive card. If you're on the back foot, having Blood Tribute in hand does not feel great. For this reason, for the no block, doesn't offer many resources. I don't think we'll see many lists, if any, playing 3 Blood Tribute. I don't think we'll see many lists playing 2. I think the 1 of Blood Tribute will be something you guys are going to see splashed in a lot of decks. I think it's going to offer a ton of value, enough to take the number 2 slot on our list. I think this card's going to be, you know, responsible for a couple wins. And the last card is a card I never thought I'd be talking about in a number 1 slot, and that is Tome of Torment. Guys, the use of Soul Shackle and Tome of Torment provides so much gas for Chane. It is very versatile on the offensive end, and it kind of does everything you want to do. So it's easily accessible card draw, can be played for anywhere. Hand, Banish Zone, we can always flip this into something else. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. And then is this card just kind of a play one, get one? It doesn't have to be. If you play Tome of Torment from the Banish Zone, you're theoretically netting yourself 1 card in hand, because that card in hand is slightly more versatile. It can be used for pitch. It can be used for defense on the next turn. That card in hand is a slightly more valuable than the Tome of Torment from your Banish Zone. So I'm a big fan of Tome of Torment. And lastly, it does turn on a 0 card hand. In an event that you have to block out, you can block out, use all your cards for defense, banish Tome of Torment off the top of your deck with a Soul Shackle. Soul Shackle, play Tome of Torment, generate some pitch, and either create a rune chant, attack with Nebula Blade now for 4 because it's a non-attack action. Guys, this card is very versatile. I think Tome of Torment is going to be responsible for a couple wins. It's a whole series wins in this Road to Nationals. Now, again, there are drawbacks. It doesn't defend. It's got no pitch. Again, it's unidimensional in the fact that it's a very offensive card. But I think that's worth it because Chane spends so much of the game, especially mid to late, on the front foot. This card is going to see a ton of value in this series. So wrapping up, guys, those are the 4 cards that we think are going to really outshine and overperform in this Road to National series for Chane. If you guys have different thoughts, or if you got some secret tech of your own you want to share with us, let us know in the comments section below. We appreciate all your guys' input. Again, big shout out to all of our patrons. We couldn't do this without you guys. Thank you to everyone for hitting that subscribe button. And until next time, my name is Josh, and I'll see you around. Surprise, I'm still here.